It really is a privilege to welcome you all. And today our panelists will be exploring sustainable development without rural women. And it was so interesting when this was presented today, because if you say that without the question mark, it really raises a lot of questions. So, sustainable development without rural women, question mark. We have with us today 4 very distinguished panelists, and we're very grateful that you are able to be with us today. Each panelist will speak for approximately 15 minutes. We have a few more minutes because we'll be showing a video presentation of one of the case studies. And then at the end, we'll have an ample opportunity for an exchange with all of you to dialogue with the presenters. Our first presenter today is Taku Ninyayi from UNIFEM. She is a program specialist working for the Africa section of the United Nations Development Fund for Women. Before joining UNIFEM, she worked with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa in Addis Ababa and various NGOs, including the Women in Development Network, WIDE. She has extensive experience in policy, advocacy, research, development of indicators and capacity building on gender equality and women's rights in Africa. Please welcome.
I'm not sure it's a privilege to speak first. We have a panel of very enlightened colleagues here today. So, just to begin, I would like to thank again all the organizers. This is always a pleasure for us to be here at UNIFEM. UNIFEM is the United Nations Development Forum for Women, for people who are not familiar with it. And our mandate is related to women's empowerment and gender equality. So, in response to the title, and it's really what was said in the introduction, can we really call it sustainable development if it does not benefit rural women? Because really, when we talk about sustainable development, we think of pro-poor kind of development, environmentally friendly kind of development, inclusive development, but also gender equitable development. And it is quite a shift away from all the economic paradigms which focus on solely economic growth, because here we are also questioning issues around the how that growth is generated and how it is distributed, who benefits from it. So I would like here to just say that the issue around rural women is not a new issue. There is quite an impressive set of legal frameworks which date from, some of them date from decades. And here I will just quote a few, I will just cite a few. There is, for example, the fact that we have the 15th of October as the Day of Rural Women, but there are also a number of other resolutions. There are a number of resolutions on the improvement of the situation of rural women generally. There are also some of the gender-related conventions which guide our work, which also touch on specific issues regarding rural women. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which was adopted in 1979, is one of them. And although it's quite thin on rural women when you look at it carefully, but it definitely emphasizes the rights of women to enjoy adequate living conditions, particularly in relation to housing, sanitation, electricity, water supply, and so on. Okay, so apart from that particular article, you have all the articles of CEDAW which talk about inequality in general. But there is also the Beijing Platform for Action, which really talks about critical areas of concern in terms of gender inequality in various sectors. I will not go in detail. The World Summit on Sustainable Development also touched on key issues for rural women, and those include, for example, access to water and sanitation, but also the infrastructure, services, equal access in decision making at all levels, improved access of women to land, issues of property and technology. We also have, for example, some of the environmentally related or other conventions on, for example, access to water, which really look at women's issues in key areas. The Habitat Agenda, for example, of Istanbul in '96 talks about gender equality in human settlements and the collection, analysis, and dissemination of gender disaggregated data. You have the World Summit for Social Development, which really touches on the disproportionate burden of poverty on women characterized by severe deprivation of basic human needs, including safe drinking water and sanitation, and so on. Some of them talk about desertification, drought, disaster management, and so on. But you can really feel that the body of legal framework is here if we really want to implement. So I will quote 3 life stories which tell us a bit more about how it is felt, what is the situation of rural women on the ground. The first story is in a post-conflict area where the issue of rape is still prevalent. So this is a community where men are the ones who go and fetch firewood generally. But this time, because of the conflict and the fear of violence, the husband sends the wife to go and collect the firewood. And he says it is because, if they catch you, they will only rape you, but if they catch me, they will kill me. So the woman calls the daughter and sends her and said, "You are much younger, so you can run faster." So these are real life stories. And really, here it touches on the issue of personal security. And it's not just in the context of conflict, but for example, with regard to girls' access to education, sometimes because of the distance they would have to walk to get to the schools, they cannot go there because the parents fear about their personal security. The other story is a pregnant woman in a hospital in Kenya. And this is what she says. "I was taken to the labor ward and left alone on the bed. I stayed the whole day without eating. Water was coming out and they refused to change the bedding. I slept on wet bedding until the doctor came at night. I was then induced. The nurses refused to assist me with anything. They said there were no sheets. After the injection, I gave birth. The doctor had left by then, and the nurse said she would not help me until the head of the baby came out. I was assisted by one of the patients who was waiting to give birth. The nurse later came and took the baby and told me to get off the bed and wipe the bed." So this is an issue around access to services, around lack of accountability for people to have the right to access services because they are citizens and it's their entitlement. The third story is a story in Burkina Faso, and this time it's in the shea butter sector, really producing shea butter sector, the shea butter in Burkina. So this is a woman who was received a contract from another woman, an urban and wealthy woman, to process shea butter. And this is what she says. She says, "Our contract did not have any limitation to the number of hours we have to work every day. We do not see any significant benefits to this work. The salary is very low and there is no room for renegotiating the terms of the contract.